Unbelievable twist, she took her cousin's spot at a wedding. Little did she know, love awaits. Emily's heart raced as she stared at the invitation flickering under the dull kitchen light of her childhood home. Her cousin Clara's name loomed large, practically shimmering with entitlement. Clara was the town's golden girl, gliding through life as if on a cloud of silk and diamonds. The idea of attending the extravagant wedding in her place sent shivers of both exhilaration and dread spiraling down Emily's spine. This was her chance, an escape from Maplewood's suffocating expectations that tethered her dreams. When the last-minute cancellation from Clara arrived, it was like the universe had cast her in a role she never thought she could play. She pulled on the borrowed gown, a lustrous deep blue that hugged her curves just right, and stood in front of the mirror. Although the reflection looked glamorous, the nagging voice in her head hissed doubts. "Who are you kidding?" it sneered. But she silenced it, stepping into her shoes with a newfound determination. The grand ballroom was a different world. Chilling chandeliers illuminated the crowd in a warm glow that felt foreign yet tantalizing. Laughter rang around her like tinkling bells, but she felt like an outsider at a family reunion, navigating through perfectly pressed suits and flowing gowns. It was overwhelming and exhilarating at the same time. Just when she thought the evening would swallow her whole, she bumped into Jake. He stood out among the polished guests, a rugged charm with the scars of battle carved into his skin. His laugh was genuine, a sound that wrapped around her, warming her insides. They talked, swapping stories between sips of champagne. Jake's tales of his service brought tears to Emily's eyes, moments of vulnerability shared in the midst of glamour, and she felt seen for the first time in ages. But the atmosphere quickly shifted when Clara spotted them. Her eyes widened, flashing daggers as she stormed toward Emily. "What on earth are you doing here?" Clara yelled, the whispers of the crowd growing louder as they watched the spectacle unfold. Emily felt heat rise in her cheeks, a lump forming in her throat. It was a moment of pure humiliation, the judgment enveloping her like a thick fog. But as Clara unleashed her disdain, something inside Emily ignited. All those family gatherings flooded back, those moments filled with unspoken expectations and quiet judgments. This wasn't just about a wedding, it was about family ties that stifled her. She drew in a breath, her pulse hammering. "I am tired of living in the shadows," she shouted, cutting through the air with determination. Just as the murmurs peaked, her phone buzzed, a family crisis that twisted her stomach into knots. It was a reminder that life had its fair share of chaos. Yet, standing tall amid the chaos, she realized she was more than a simple waitress or a cousin lost in the shuffle. At that moment, she was a force ready to redefine herself against the tide. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension in the room pulled tighter, but Emily stood her ground. She hadn't just taken Clara's place at the wedding, she had taken a stance for herself. With Jake's eyes steady on her, she felt the warmth of hope flicker back to life, battling the shadows of judgment stacked against her. But would she find the courage to embrace it and rewrite her legacy before the night slipped away? Emily's heart pounded as she faced Clara, the woman who had always overshadowed her. The whispers around them morphed into a swirling storm in her mind. Each disapproving gaze was like a sharp sting. But as she met Jake's gaze again, she felt something shift within her, a fierce resolve tugging at her. Clara's expression shifted from rage to disbelief. "You think you can just waltz in here, wear my dress, and claim a space that's not yours?" Her voice dripped with venom, but behind it lurked something deeper: fear. Fear of being replaced. "It's not about that," Emily replied, her voice steady despite the tremors of doubt still lurking. "This is my moment too, Clara. I deserve to be here, just like you." The crowd hushed, the air thick with anticipation. People began to shift, a collective easing of tension as they turned their eyes from Clara to Emily. For a second, the universe stretched into stillness, as if the cosmos was contemplating Emily's next move. She felt liberated, like a kite finally cutting its strings. The silence that followed her words felt both terrifying and exhilarating.
Clara seemed taken aback, her bravado waning.
Maybe she was used to running the show, but the spotlight didn't belong to her alone. Jake stepped closer, a supportive presence beside her.
She's right, you know. Everyone deserves to shine.
His words cut through the simmering discontent, resonating with the crowd and transforming murmurs into nods of approval. Clara scoffed, her mask cracking.
And what do you know about her? You think you can play knight in shining armor?
Maybe I do know something, Jake shot back, his voice strong and unwavering. I know what it's like to wear a mask yourself, to keep up appearances. But Emily is here being real, and that's a hell of a lot more than anyone else is doing.
He turned to Emily, his eyes alight with pride.
In that moment, Emily found her breath, her soul stirring. She turned to Clara, unyielding. You've always been the perfect cousin, and maybe I've spent too long in your shadow, waiting for approval.
But no more. I'm stepping into my light.
With that clarity, she lifted her chin higher, daring to smile, to breathe, to exist without apology. Distant strains of music beckoned from the ballroom, reminding her that life was still happening around them, a party, a celebration, her moment to dance. Clara blinked, taken aback.
For the first time, uncertainty marred her face.
You'll regret this, she hissed, but it lacked conviction. Emily shook her head, heart racing with a mixture of defiance and fear.
No. I want tea. I'm ready for whatever comes next.
As she stepped back, the energy shifted. It was as if the crowd had held its breath alongside her. Somewhere in the room, the orchestra began to play a softer melody.
It whispered promises of new beginnings and unforeseen paths. Jake leaned closer. Want to dance?
He asked, his eyes igniting with mischief.
It felt like a lifeline. An opportunity to redefine what this night could mean for her.
She nodded, the thrill of adventure bubbling in her veins. She took his hand, feeling the warmth radiate through her skin, and together they moved toward the dance floor. But just as they stepped into the vibrant world of swirling colors and music, Emily caught sight of Clara, her expression shifting from betrayal to something resembling fear mixed with confusion. What had this evening done to her? The night was still young, and as they stepped into the rhythm of the music, Emily knew that the storm was far from over. There would be more battles, conversations left to unravel, truths yet to be discovered.
Will you stand by me as I navigate this new chapter?
She whispered to Jake as they swayed. I wouldn't miss it for the world, he replied, determination shining in his gaze, and with that, amidst the pulsing beat, Emily understood that she had chosen more than a moment. She was on the brink of an unexpected adventure, one filled with love, challenges, and perhaps most importantly, the chance to find herself. But just as she thought she was seizing control, a figure moved through the
crowd, a familiar one who could change everything she thought she knew.
Emily's heart raced as she recognized the figure weaving through the crowd. It was Lily, her childhood friend, the one who had always been there and now appeared out of nowhere, just when everything was changing. Dressed in a striking red gown and with an unmistakable twinkle in her eye, Lily seemed to radiate energy. The moment their eyes met, the flicker of the past reignited, drawing Emily back to childhood memories of laughter and carefree moments.
Emily!
Lily called out, her voice cutting through the music like a beam of light. She rushed towards them, a whirlwind of enthusiasm and warmth. I heard you were here.
Mind if I crash the party a little early?
Jake stepped back slightly, allowing Emily space to embrace her friend. The hug was tight, and as they pulled back, Emily felt a surge of nostalgia slice through her uncertainty.
What are you doing here? Emily asked, her voice mingled with surprise and delight. I thought you were in California.
I was, Lily said, her eyes sparkling.
But I needed a break.
And I heard there was a wedding on the horizon.
So here I am, ready for fun and drama. Emily couldn't help but laugh.
It was just the kind of spontaneity Lily thrived on. She felt grounded again, her resolve strengthening with the presence of someone who knew the real her, the sister she never had.
How's the dancing? Lily nudged playfully, her gaze flicking to Jake. And who's the cute guy?
Jake rubbed the back of his neck, a hint of color rising to his cheeks.
I'm Jake.
Just trying to survive the family chaos and dance my way through it all.
Nice to meet you, Jake. Lucky you, to be in the midst of all this, Lily replied, her smile infectious. She gestured around the ballroom, filled with swirls of color and laughter. Emily felt the pulse of excitement, but her stomach twisted slightly at the thought of Clara watching them. Was it really time to embrace the happiness she had long chased but never truly embraced? Let us dance! Lily exclaimed, pulling Emily and Jake towards the dance floor. As they moved with the beat, Emily lost herself in the rhythm, feeling all her fears dissolve in the music. Each step, each sway felt like a brush stroke on a new canvas, redefining who she was and who she wanted to become. But as she twirled, catching a glimpse of Clara at the edge of the crowd, Emily's heart thudded again. Clara's face bore a frown, eyes narrowed in jealousy. What was brewing in that mind of hers? I'm okay, Emily whispered to herself, squeezing Jake's hand tighter. But doubt whispered back, and suddenly the tension of the night loomed larger. This victory felt so fragile. Then Lily leaned in closer. What's wrong? You look like you're about to burst. Emily took a deep breath, the hurricane of her emotions battling within. It's just Clara. I thought stepping into the light would be a freeing experience, but I can't shake this feeling that I'm still tangled in her web. What if she finds a way to turn this all against me? Lily tilted her head thoughtfully. You've got this, Em. Remember, you've already fought the hardest battle. You're here, you're dancing, and you refuse to shy away. Clara can't take that from you. But before Emily could reply, a loud crash sounded from behind them, followed by a collective gasp from the crowd. All heads turned, and Clara's furious expression only intensified. What had happened? In an instant, the joyful atmosphere shifted. Bracelets jingled and shoes scuffed against the polished floor as whispers erupted. Emily felt the tension tighten in her gut like a coiled spring. What truth was ready to come tumbling out, threatening to unravel everything she had just built? As the chaos ensued, Emily knew one thing for certain: she was standing on the edge of something monumental, and whatever came next would either break her down or help her rise even higher. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, a rapid drumbeat against the backdrop of confusion. The laughter and chatter had morphed into a cacophony of whispers, and she felt the world around her blur as she focused on Clara. What had Gloria done now to stir the pot? Everyone, please. It's just a minor accident, Clara announced, her voice soaring above the chaos. Hers was a tone that commanded attention, but it was laced with a spine-chilling edge. Her eyes darted around the room, settling on the scattering of guests who had begun to mumble among themselves. Emily clenched Lily's hand, the comfort of her friend wavering against the impending storm. What do you think she is up to? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, fraught with uncertainty. Lily shrugged, her lips pressed tight with concern. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Just stay close to me. Despite the comforting words, a raw electricity crackled between Emily's shoulders. She had always been the target of Clara's schemes, the one to carry the weight of familial expectations. And now, with the wedding looming and her past resurfacing, Emily felt pushed to the brink. Jake, noticing the tension, leaned closer. Is everything okay? He asked, brow furrowing in worry. We can leave if you want. No, Emily said, shaking her head, though her heart wasn't entirely convinced. This is about more than just Clara. It's my life. I won't let her ruin it. Another crash echoed, louder this time. Emily whipped her head around to see Clara glaring at a table overflowing with half-empty glasses and toppled chairs. A gust of bitterness filled the air, thick and suffocating. Not a minor accident, then, Lily murmured, watching Clara carefully. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and caution. She's looking for a reaction. Then let us give her something to react to, Emily replied, electric determination coursing through her veins. They had faced past storms together, it was time to reclaim her narrative. But just as Emily steeled herself, Clara's voice boomed again, sharper this time. Emily! I would suggest you come here and sort this out before you embarrass yourself further. The words were venomous and pointed, drawing a collective gasp from the crowd. Something in Emily snapped. She couldn't be a shadow, lurking in the background any longer. With every step she took towards Clara,
her breathing grew steadier. It wasn't bravery. It was necessity.
Clara, Emily said, her voice strong despite the tremor in her hand as she placed it on the table.
What's the point of this? You're creating drama where there doesn't need to be any. She dared Clara to respond, her gaze unwavering and firm. Drama? Clara scoffed. This night is a reflection of you, Em.
Everyone loves a good spectacle, a petty squabble to liven things up. Or maybe they love seeing someone stand up for themselves, Jake interjected, stepping forward.
His support wrapped around Emily like armor. How about you let her enjoy the night instead of trying to take away her joy? The tension stormed like a brewing thundercloud.
Emily's heart raced, sweeping through the crowd of family and friends, each stare away to Carrie. But it was also a spark that ignited her resolve further.
Clara's expression twisted, calculating. You think this is all about a clumsy accident? You have truly underestimated me. A hush enveloped the room as Clara's gaze flitted across faces, assessing, dissecting.
Emily's mouth felt dry as she waited, bracing herself for whatever Clara had in store. If it was a storm they were to weather, she wouldn't stand alone.
As uncertainty crackled and thundered between them, Clara's lips curled into a sly smile.
Let us see how you thrive in the chaos then.
The night is just beginning. What did Clara mean?
Emily could feel the stakes rising, a game of power beginning to unfold. And in that moment, she realized the evening was no longer just about the wedding, it was a battleground for her heart, her identity, and her true friendships. The air pulled tight around her, and she stood on the edge of possibility, ready for
whatever unfolded. Would this be the moment she truly found herself amidst the chaos, or would Clara pull her back into the shadows?
Emily felt her skin prickling as Clara stepped closer, like a predator sensing its prey. Every eye in the room seemed glued to them, the weight of their stares pressing down like a heavy fog. A flicker of defiance ignited in her chest, urging her to stand her ground. You might think you can control this night, Clara, Emily said, each word sharper than the last, but you don't get to define me.
Not anymore.
The moment those words slipped from her lips, a ripple of gasps spread through the gathered crowd, as if the air itself withheld its breath. Clara's jaw tightened, the corner of her mouth twitching as if caught between a smile and a frown.
Oh, but that's where you're wrong, dear cousin. This isn't just about you. It never was. She gestured dramatically to the audience, as if inviting them into a play she'd meticulously choreographed. Let us give them a show they won't forget. Emily swallowed hard, the taste of fear mingling with anger. Clara was talented at this. She knew how to stir excitement, how to divert attention.
But maybe this time, Emily had something more to offer than mere reaction. The crowd before her was not just there for entertainment, they were her support.
She could feel Jake's presence solidifying behind her, validating her resolve.
She took a deep breath and pushed forward. Then let us make it a show worth watching, she replied boldly, her voice growing stronger as she found her footing.
If you want to drag everyone into your mess, how about we discuss the truth in front of them? The truth about our family, our past, and your endless manipulations? Lily's eyes widened, and Emily couldn't tell if it was shock or approval.
The room buzzed with anticipation, and for the first time that evening, it wasn't just Clara's name on everyone's lips but Emily's. She was weaving a narrative of her own. The urge to breathe life into her truth had finally awakened. Clara regarded her with an unsettling calm, the corners of her mouth curling back into that sly smile.
Truth? You believe that will save you?
She stepped into Emily's space, invading her personal bubble, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper.
It's exactly that truth that you've been trying to hide all these years. The murmurs escalated, and a knot of anxiety twisted in Emily's stomach. What was Clara planning to unveil? Was there something she didn't want anyone to know?
The answer danced just out of reach, but she refused to yield to doubt.
Whatever you think you have, Clara.
I'm not afraid anymore, Emily stated, though inside, waves of fear crashed against her resolve. Bit by bit, her foundation was shifting, solidifying with each word.
Not afraid? That's adorable.
But let us see if you're brave enough to face what's waiting beneath the surface. Clara's eyes glinted like daggers, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Tell me, do you think everyone will still love you when they see who you really are?" As a chuckle broke out from the back of the gathering, Emily felt a rush of cold disbelief. This was not a joke, it was a threat. Every face in the crowd shifted, some leaning in closer, others already expressing disbelief. Jake stepped forward, positioning himself protectively in front of Emily. "You don't have to do this, Clara," he said, voice fierce yet steady. "Stop hiding behind your lies and face whatever you've created." At that moment, Emily's heart raced with an unexpected thrill. She wasn't alone. This time, Clara's manipulation wouldn't stand. They would expose the cracks in her facade together, ready to unveil the truth. But before Emily could voice her next thought, Clara's lips parted in an ominous grin. "Fine, let the world see who Emily really is. But know this, my dear, not everything is what it seems." As Emily faced Clara, the room's energy crackled like a live wire, and she felt the full weight of the night ahead. The stakes were escalating, and the night was far from its climax. Would she finally unearth the secrets that bound their family, or would she be buried in her own past? The tension thickened, and with one last glance at Jake, she felt a rush of determination. Whatever awaited her, she wouldn't back down. What had Clara planned for her next reveal, and how would it shift everything Emily thought she knew about her life? The air in the room grew electric, charged with voices that barely hushed, anticipation swirling like smoke. Emily's heart slammed against her chest, a furious drumbeat of defiance pumping adrenaline through her veins. She had dared to challenge Clara in front of everyone, and now she stood at the precipice of something monumental. Clara leaned in closer, the smirk on her lips playing tricks with Emily's mind. "You think this is all just theatrics? Oh, Emily, you're in for quite a revelation. It's time everyone discovers the facade you've built. Are you ready to lose everything?" Clara's eyes glittered, and there was a sinister delight in her voice. "Enough!" Jake's voice boomed through the shock-laden silence, pulling Emily back from the brink of doubt. He turned to the crowd, positioning himself as an anchor amidst the tide of uncertainty. "This isn't about Emily's past. This is about Clara's control. We need to focus on that." A tense silence followed, eyes darting between Clara and Jake, measuring their words like an audience caught in the balance of a brewing storm. Emily breathed deep, feeling a swell of appreciation for Jake. His bravery emboldened her. This was their moment, and Clara's theatrics wouldn't prevail. Turning back to Clara, Emily felt a fire ignite within her. "Expose my past? Go ahead. But know that what I've done doesn't define who I am today." She steeled her glare. "Our family has its scars, yours are just more carefully concealed." Clara's laughter sliced through the tension. "Oh, sweet Emily. You really believe that? The truth is far less kind than you imagine." The crowd stirred, the tension thickening as secrets hung in the air, unspoken truths both exhilarating and terrifying. Emily's intuition screamed at her. Clara was ready to play her final card. Clara paused, eyes narrowed. "I'll start with this. Remember the summer before your first year of high school?" The smirk faded just a touch, replaced with something darker. It felt like the calm before a tempest. "You think everyone has forgotten? But I know the real reason you moved away. Your mother couldn't handle the shame, could she?" Gasps erupted across the room like fireworks in a dark sky. The shift in atmosphere was palpable, surprised whispers rippling outward. Emily felt her stomach drop as memories flooded back the stairs, the gossip, the feeling of being an outsider looking in. "Stop! You don't get to do this!" Emily shouted, desperation creeping into her voice. "That was a long time ago, and it doesn't define who I am today." "Oh, but it does." Clara's voice dripped with false sweetness, an illusion of control that brought a swarm of emotions churning in Emily's chest. This was exactly what Clara wanted, to drag forth the past and hold it over her head like a weapon. Focus, Emily thought. This wasn't just about her anymore. She glanced at Jake, who stood firm beside her, courage shining in his eyes. Remembering the support she had behind her fortified her resolve. "I won't be a puppet in your performance," Emily said, more softly this time but with fierce determination. Let us show the world the truth, Clara. Not just mine, but yours too. You think you know my past? We both have roots buried deep under this family tree. The silence that followed was unlike anything she'd ever felt. Clara's confident veneer cracked for a fleeting moment, revealing glimpses of vulnerability, but it quickly hardened again. Suddenly, the room shifted as some in the crowd nodded, a flicker of empathy igniting in their eyes. Clara's grip on the narrative wavered, and Emily sensed the power was shifting. Emily's right, someone called from the back. We all have histories we don't proudly wear. Clara's face twisted in disbelief, unable to process that she no longer held the stage. The walls she had fortified were beginning to crumble, and the crowd's murmur grew as support wrapped around Emily like a protective cloak. As Clara struggled to regain control, Emily felt a surge of emotions crash over her: fear, hope, and a fierce desire for freedom. Clara's gaze narrowed, venom lacing her every word. So, you want to dig into family secrets? Fine. The air froze, heavy with anticipation. But be prepared for the truth to hurt. With those words lingering in the air like a smoldering ember, Emily braced herself for the inevitable storm. What truth awaited her, and would she be strong enough to face it without losing herself? Every heartbeat seemed amplified as they stood on the edge of their family's darkness, and the next moment would shift everything forever. The silence cracked, a tense echo of Clara's foreboding challenge hanging over the room. Emily felt the weight of countless gazes, each one pressing against her skin like a tight embrace that offered no comfort. She drew strength from Jake, who stood close enough for her to reach out and grasp his hand, their fingers intertwined, grounding her. Go ahead, she said, raising her chin slightly. Let us hear what you have. Her voice was steadier than she felt, a quiet thunder promising conviction. What could Clara possibly reveal that would shake her now? She'd spent too long running from her past, and it was time to confront it head-on. Clara's nostrils flared, a burst of frustration sliding across her features before she regained her composure. You want to dance in the flames, Emily? Fine. Just answer me this: why didn't your mother come to your graduation? One of the biggest days of your life? A spark ignited in the crowd, curiosity morphing into whispers. Emily's heart sank as memories surged. Her mother had never been the same since the incident. The shame had twisted their lives, a suffocating blanket woven from threads of guilt, regret, and unspoken words. But no. Emily wasn't sliding back into that darkness. My mother had a choice, she fired back, finding her voice. And her choices don't define who I am. This isn't about her, it's about me standing here, in this moment, with all of you. The crowd began to murmur in sympathy, and she felt a light dimming from Clara's eyes. For just a flicker, the veneer of control shattered, revealing more than just a cousin with a dark secret. There was a woman terrified of losing her influence. People make mistakes, Clara, Emily continued, her heart roaring to a beat of defiance. But we grow from them. She gestured toward the assembly. Look around you. We all have stories, some worse than others. But we're standing together, ready to confront our pasts, whether it's shame or regret or something else entirely. The crowd was nodding, voices rising in affirmation. There was power in vulnerability, and Emily felt a glimmer of hope pushing through the shadows. Clara's face darkened, her usual calm unraveling. Enough! Clara shouted. You think you're so virtuous, don't you? But you're just a little girl trying to play grown-up. You think you can hold on to your precious facade when everything is stacked against you? Facades are your specialty, Clara, not mine, Emily shot back, feeling fiercer by the second. The truth she felt inside was palpable. You've hidden behind your wealth and status, but we all see the desperation. For the first time, it felt like Emily was gaining ground. The tension shifted. The room, once cloaked in hushed uncertainty, buzzed with an electric energy, people leaning in, drawn not just to Emily but to a truth that every single one of them shared. Let us be real, Emily said, her voice rising. We're more than just the stories we tell, the shame we carry. We can break free of these chains together. The crowd erupted in murmurs, little sparks of encouragement igniting like fireworks. Clara's expression morphed from disdain to raw hurt.
For a moment, uncertainty washed over her, a glimpse of vulnerability clawing through the armor she'd always worn, but it was fleeting.
Perhaps you're right. But don't forget Clara's tone dropped, cold and mirthless. Some truths are better left untouched.
And when your past comes knocking, it doesn't just tap politely at the door. Emily felt a chill, a sudden sweep of dread latched onto her heart.
What did that mean?
As she met Clara's gaze, the challenge held a deeper threat in its depths, one that sent shivers down her spine.
Silence fell again, heavy and expectant. What truth was Clara clutching, ready to unleash, and would Emily be prepared for what might come next?
Doubt hung in the air like a specter, and the crowd braced, caught in a moment suspended in time.
As the seconds ticked away, Emily's resolve flickered. Would she unearth something even darker, something that could destroy everything she had built? The room waited with bated
breath, and the storm was just beginning to brew. Emily's breath hitched, her heart racing as she braced herself against the palpable weight of Clara's words. She could almost feel the air growing thick around them, tension knotted like a vine tightening its grip. Clara had a way of slicing through the moment, turning it sharp and jagged, as if daring Emily to step forward into the mess. "I'm not afraid of my past, Clara," Emily said, steeling herself.
The room felt electric, the crowd awaiting her next move. "I won't let your threats define me. Whatever you think you know, it's not going to scare me." Clara's eyes sparked, a mix of anger and something else. Was it fear? "Oh, sweet Emily, you think this is all about you?"
"It's much bigger than you realize," she spat, each word a dagger aiming for the soft spots that still throbbed in Emily's heart. As if losing control, Clara stepped forward, breaking the unspoken line of safety that kept her at a distance.
"You want to know what kept her away?"
"The secret she buried deep, the one that would unravel everything you believe about family."
Emily's pulse quickened. What could be worse than the shame already stamped across their lives?
"Your mother." Clara's voice dropped to an intense whisper, gripping the tension tightly to fray it. "She didn't just walk away, she ran from something. Something that, if uncovered, could tear this family apart."
Emily blinked, trying to absorb the weight of those words.
Her mind raced, weaving through her memories of late-night whispers and hushed conversations. There had always been something lingering just out of sight, a shadow thickening the daylight. She thought she understood. The crowd shifted, the collective breath holding in sharp anticipation.
Their eyes darted between the two women like skittish birds sensing danger. What was it? Emily pressed, her voice trembling with a mix of curiosity and dread. What could possibly be that monumental?
Clara smirked, the hint of a wild satisfaction creeping into her expression.
"You really want the truth? Fine.
But don't say I didn't warn you when it all comes crashing down." Emily felt Jake squeeze her hand tighter, grounding her amid the whirlwind. "We've got this," he mouthed, eyes glinting with unshakable support.
"It's about the wedding," Clara sneered. "Your mother's wedding. Do you even know why she came home that summer? Or why it ended so badly?" A ripple of gasps coursed through the audience, shadows of understanding dawning on faces. Emily's heart sank.
The wedding, the one her mother had left town for after the incident.
Don't dodge the question, Emily. You think you can just take your mother's hand and erase what she did?
Identities are built on more than just blood. You need to face what's hidden here. There it was, the truth teetering at the brink of exposure, glistening like a blade in the dark.
Fear gnawed at Emily's insides, a tumultuous mix of anger and trepidation.
She had fought hard to understand her mother's choices, but she never imagined they could lead to something this catastrophic. "I'll find out," Emily declared, voice steadying. "I'll dig until I uncover the truth."
No more hiding. Clara's smirk vanished, replaced by a blankness that sent a chill down Emily's spine. "Do you think you're ready?"
"Some truths, my dear, come with a price." The crowd murmured again, caught in a whirlwind of speculation. Emily could feel their eagerness, a blend of fear and curiosity mirroring her own. Long-lost memories bubbled to the surface. Emily knew she was on the brink of unraveling more than just a family secret. She was about to uncover the very foundation of who she was, and the shadows that had haunted her family for far too long. And just as the room swelled with the anticipation of disclosure, a sudden crash echoed from the back. The door swung open, and a figure stepped through the threshold, eyes darting frantically toward Emily.
Emily! The voice called, striding forward with urgency and determination. You have to come with me. Now. It's about your mother. Emily's heart dropped as she locked eyes with the newcomer. Who were they, and what did they know?
The storm of her past was roaring alive, and she was standing right in its path.
Emily's chest tightened as she took in the stranger's frantic expression.
The urgency in their voice was palpable, sending her mind spiraling with questions.
Who could possibly know something about her mother that she didn't?
She felt the eyes of the crowd, now heavy with curiosity and concern, darting between her and this unexpected visitor.
Who are you? She managed to ask, trying to keep her voice steady.
A part of her wanted to flee the room, to escape the pressure hot against her skin. But she couldn't. Too much was at stake. I'm Mia, the newcomer replied, taking a breath, clearly struggling with the weight of the moment.
Your cousin. I've been looking for you. Gasps echoed through the audience as murmurs spread like wildfire. Emily's thoughts raced.
She had heard stories, always told in whispered tones, about relatives long lost.
But a cousin? This was a revelation she couldn't have prepped for. I don't have time for games, Mia. What do you know about my mother? Emily pressed, desperation mingling with confusion.
Please let us talk somewhere private. Mia's eyes darted back at the crowd, scanning the faces as if she felt the weight of judgment hanging in the air.
You need to hear this now.
Emily glanced at Jake, who still held her hand firmly, a grounding presence in the chaos.
He nodded, silent encouragement shining in his eyes. With a deep breath, she reluctantly agreed, all right. Lead the way.
Mia turned on her heel, quick strides leading Emily and Jake out of the venue, down a corridor and into a quiet room at the end. The air was cooler here, a contrast to the heated tension they just left behind. Once they were alone, Mia pressed her back against the wall, a flicker of uncertainty dancing across her features. I didn't think I'd ever have to come back here again, but your mother needs you.
What do you mean? Emily's stomach twisted. Where is she?
Mia bit her lip, visibly conflicted. She's in trouble.
There's something you don't know.
She's been sick, Emily.
It's serious.
And she's scared.
Emily's heart dropped.
The realities of her mother's absence, the whispers and shadows no longer felt like heartache wrapped in confusion. All of it turned into pure dread.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
She didn't want to burden you with her choices, Mia said softly, her voice cracking.
The wedding, it's connected to everything.
She left because she felt she had no other option.
Surge of frustration mixed with a wave of empathy surged through Emily. Connected how? Why didn't she come back? Why leave me in the dark?
Before Mia could answer, a flicker of recognition crossed her face, and she hesitated.
There's something else.
Your mother received threats about the wedding. You need to see her before it's too late.
Emily's mind raced, flashing back to Clara's warning. But I'm right on the verge of finding out what really happened.
I can't walk away from this now, not when the truth is so close. You have to decide what matters most, Mia said earnestly, stepping closer.
The past? Or your future? It could change everything, Emily.
As she processed Mia's words, a cold reality settled within her. Time was of the essence. With each tick of the clock, the mystery and the danger deepened.
Let us go.
Show me where she is, Emily finally said, heart pounding. She knew she had a choice to make that would echo far into her future.
And that's when she noticed the glimmer of something hidden in Mia's fear, determination, and maybe hope.
Was she the key to discovering not just the truth of her mother's choices, but perhaps the power of rebuilding the fragments of her broken family? And just as a hint of clarity began to form, another crash echoed from the hallway, sending a shiver down her spine. Stay close, Mia whispered urgently, and they stepped into the uncertainty together, ready to embrace whatever awaited them in the shadows.
Would they find the answers they were searching for, or would the past draw them deeper into danger?
Emily moved through the dim hallway, heart racing, the air thick with uncertainty. The chaos of the wedding faded behind her, replaced by the urgency of Mia's words. They reached the small, private room at the far end of the corridor, a sense of dread settling deeper than before. Emily felt the weight of hidden truths pressing on her chest. As they entered, her breath caught at the sight of her mother. She sat weakly on the edge of a simple hospital bed, the color drained from her face. The familiar features twisted in pain, framed by tangled waves of hair. This was the woman she had built up in her mind as an untouchable figure, the one who had left her without explanation, now vulnerable and fragile before her.
"Mom?" Emily stepped forward, voice trembling. "What is going on?"
Her mother's eyes flickered with recognition, but the shadow of guilt eclipsed the warmth.
"Emily."
"I'm so sorry," she said, her voice barely rising above a whisper.
"Sorry?
For what?"
You left. You left when I needed you most."
Why didn't you? But Emily's words caught in her throat. She wanted to rage, to demand answers, but the fear in her mother's eyes disarmed her. "Let me explain," her mother urged, eyes glistening with unshed tears.
"I was trying to protect you from the fallout, the threats. They felt endless. It was never just about me. I thought leaving would keep you safe." Emily's heart twisted.
The shadows of her past unfurled, revealing layers she'd never grasped.
"You could have trusted me. We could have faced it together," she said, voice breaking.
"I was caught in my own shame," her mother replied, anguish lining her expression. "I didn't want you burdened by my mistakes." The wedding, it reopened old wounds. Clara viewed it as a chance to drag our past back into the light.
"I thought it was best if you were gone." Mia shifted uneasily, looking between them.
The air pulsed with unspoken conclusions.
"We need to figure out how to end this," she said, determination in her voice. "And what, exactly?" Emily shot back, the confusion spiraling. "Clara.
She has ties to the threat. She is not as innocent as she appears."
Mia's voice was firm.
It's high time all of this was revealed. The revelation hit hard. Emily's thoughts raced, piecing together Clara's manipulation of events, and how it had all revolved around fear and control.
"Mom, I need you to be honest with me. What did Clara hold over you?"
Emily asked, her heart aching for clarity. Her mother hesitated, catching a breath.
"She knew things I had tried to bury. Secrets shared in darkness, the truth that could tear our family apart if put into the light."
"Then let's shine that light," Emily urged, resolve radiating from her core.
"I won't let her dictate my life anymore. We'll face this and expose everything."
A flicker of pride shone through her mother's pain-stricken eyes.
"You're stronger than I ever was, Emily.
You've always had the strength to rewrite our story."
In that moment, surrounded by empathy and understanding, Emily felt like a phoenix rising from the ashes of her past. "Together. We will confront it together. No more running."
She turned to Mia, determination anchoring her stance.
"And I need your help. Whatever it takes." Mia nodded, the spark of hope illuminating her features. "I'm in. We'll face Clara and unravel this web of lies." As they plotted their course, the echoes of her childhood surrounded Emily, playing in the backyard, dreaming with wild-eyed abandon.
The sweet nostalgia now coupled with the elements of power and choice, she was finally reclaiming herself, but the door suddenly burst open, Clara's figure filling the entrance in an imposing silhouette.
"What is this? A family reunion without the proverbial ringmaster?"
Her voice slithered through the room, icy and sharp.
"Enough, Clara!"
Emily exclaimed, stepping forward, ready to face the final battle.
"You don't own this family or our past anymore. We take back control together."
Clara laughed, but it faltered.
"You think you can turn the tide?"
"You are still the girl in my shadow." "No," Emily countered, a fierce light igniting within her.
"That girl is gone.
I'm stepping into my own light, and I won't be silenced by you anymore."
"Your reign is over."
The shift in the atmosphere crackled like electricity. The fight for freedom, identity, and truth hung in the air, thick with anticipation.
Clara's smirk wavered. "Let us see if you're ready for the truth."
Clara shot back. But know this, family secrets are weapons that cut deeper than blood. Emily held her ground, heart racing, empowered by the presence of her family, the new connections forged in adversity. They would stand as one. Let this be the moment we unveil everything. She glanced at her mother and Mia, who stood strong beside her. We're not afraid of the truths anymore. We're ready to face them head on. With all the strength she could muster, Emily stepped forward. They would reshape their narrative. This was the moment of reckoning, the turning point where fear dissolved into fierce defiance, igniting a new dawn for family ties. And as the battle loomed ahead, solidarity glimmered in her heart. She was no longer just fighting for herself, but for the family she had yearned for, ready to carve out a future grounded in honesty, love, and redemption. That was the promise of this night, not just survival, but rebirth. Now, if you're inspired by this journey and transformation, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is what keeps this community alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how important it is to support what matters.